Hi, can you hear me now, Stephen?
I can't hear you now.
Hey, yeah, sorry, I got a bit of a late start, but we are recording right now, so feel free to start your presentation.
Okay, so we do have some. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I am trying to figure out how to get my media. There we go. Can you all see the slideshow?
Yes, I can see it.
Same.
All right. All right. Well, then I guess I'll go ahead and start. We got to knock this out in 30 minutes because we're going to be kicked off. So we go ahead and start. All right. Here we go. The objectives of this presentation is for you all to know your risks, to make a plan, and to make an emergency kit so that you are going to be ready if a emergency situation occurs. So the first thing you need to do are determine the risks in your area. If you are in the... Hello?
Yes, we can still hear you, Stephen.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard something that sounded like an echo. So then what you need to do is find out. Hold on just a second. I am terribly sorry about that. You're going to have earthquakes pretty much all over. You're going to have some typhoon type activity from the southwest. So just find out where you are in Japan and find out what sort of situations you might be presented with. For earthquakes, you're going to need to be able to take care of yourself in the initial situation. Hide under desks and doorways and be aware of things coming up through the ground. The earthquake I was in 2004, initially I thought it was kind of cool. I actually thought to myself, wow, this is interesting. I can't walk a straight line and I haven't had anything to drink. But then I saw some folks huddled together underneath the door and started to take things seriously. Tsunamis and the resulting floods. In some areas, there will be tsunami. The tsunami, the big tsunami from, I believe it was 2010-11, on March 11th, it did take the lives of 2 jets, but both jets were, they had the opportunity to get to safety and did not take it. I've heard conflicting stories, but I think the 2 of them apparently were trying to get to their cell phones. So just remember, in the case of a tsunami, when you hear the warning bell, it's time to find safety, and it doesn't matter if you have your cell phone with you or not.
Based on what I recall, they were trying to get to their homes, and it could have been to get to their cell phone. But keep in mind that when there's an emergency, you don't want to get back to your home first to get your things.
The next thing that can come up are typhoons, and please watch out for the people around you because they will have umbrellas, and in a typhoon, you got to be honest, the wind is a little too strong to be using a typhoon. Just resign yourself to the fact that you're going to get soaked. The wind changes on a dime, and those umbrellas go shooting out of people's hands, and they hit other people. Floods can occur, especially in and around river areas, especially if there's been a lot of raining. And I should go ahead and tell you, I know from personal experience, that a committee decides pretty much when to set off the warning klaxons for things such as typhoons, floods. So they wait until the last possible moment. There was a small town close to where I lived where everything on the first floor got soaked and everyone was irritated because they didn't have time to do anything because the klaxons did not go off. So when you hear the klaxons, just stop what you're doing and get to safety. Snow is also a big condition, especially in areas of North Japan. Snow itself is all right, and the snowiest of places, you'll have a system of water which is pumped from the streets that free flows through the entire winter to help keep things from freezing over. Just keep in mind that it is, especially when it's falling, a problem. One of the other big problems with Japan is a lot of it is mountainous. If you got a lot of heavy rain or snow or even a typhoon, you are, and with the earthquakes as well, you're likely to have landslides. If you're driving through the mountain roads, if you look up, you are likely to see they have a series of, I guess the best way to describe them are metal nets to help cut down on the landslides. But just keep in mind, if you're in the mountain roads, if there is a earthquake or heavy rain, just, landslides are always a possibility. So moving on to making a plan. There are several problems you're likely to face. You need to decide whether you're going to get to safety or get home. So take care of your immediate safety first. Get to high buildings in a tsunami. Get underneath something in an earthquake. And just plan for problems. You're not going to be able to get anywhere after a major earthquake. In 2004, the buses shut down, the train shut down, and here it is. Cell phones were unusable. I actually had to tell some of my students to go back to the school and use the landline. You also will probably want to let your parents know in the case of a major earthquake in your area. It is going to be very difficult to get in touch with each other for maybe 3 days or so. This is just because of the sheer amount of cell phone activity. Also, be aware of power outages. If you have an emergency kit, you might want to include a flashlight or candles. We'll come to that later on. But also keep in mind with a power outage, you might have other problems when it comes to transportation. Another good point to bring up is debris. In a major earthquake, everything falls over. And remember that your shoes are probably going to be in the Genkan if you're at home. So you might want to keep an extra pair of shoes somewhere, say in the bedroom, just in case you have to put on some shoes while you're in your apartment. In a major earthquake situation, you are also going to want to know how to turn off your gas. Earthquakes can break open gas lines, so just when you get into your apartment or your house in Japan, make sure you know how to turn off your gas. Most homes or offices will have an escape.
Stephen, you cut out.
Hey, Stephen, are you still there? Let me see if he's still on the call. Yes, he is. Hello, Stephen? His screen is still there, so... Oh, I think he must have dropped the call. We'll wait for him to come back on.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, actually, I was going to comment on the gas leak because in Japan, you actually need to physically turn on and off your gas for your gas appliances to work. This would usually be the stove, and sometimes in an older apartment, it would be your bath. I know that there is a lot of Jets who, well, back when I was on Jet, there were a lot of Jets who were lazy, and they're like, oh, I don't want to turn it off because, I'm just going to come back home and turn it on again. But for me, I was always turning it off because I was like, okay, I want to develop good
Can you hear me?
habits. I don't want something to blow up in case, there was a natural disaster on me. Hey, Steven, you're back.
Hello?
You need to present your screen again.
Hello?
Steven, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
I need to.
You need to present
Hello?
your screen again.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Open the chat option, Steven.
Steven, can you present your screen?
Can you hear
I
me?
wish I had his number.
Wow.
Okay.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yes. Can you hear me? How far back do I need to go?
You need to start at your, you need to start at your emergency preparation screen, and also you need to present your screen.
Is it not presented? Okay. Shit.
No, once you dropped out, you have to start presenting it again.
Okay. Share screen.
One thing that I've heard about for earthquakes and stuff that might be helpful for, I guess, furniture is that there's like earthquake poles that you can install on bookshelves and stuff. Is that still a thing?
I've heard of them, but I've never used them.
Okay.
All right. So can you all see what's going on here? All right. So these are the objectives.
1 second, Stephen. In the chat, I'm not sure who it is. Sorry, Bara Fubuki was asking Rachel to repeat her question again or her comment. Rachel, would you mind restating what you just said?
Oh, sure. I put it in the chat option so that people can read it instead.
Okay. All right. So just to reiterate, in case this makes it onto actual recording, I don't know if the chat is being part of this recorded or not, but she was talking about these earthquake poles that you can install for bookshelves to prevent them from falling over. All right, sorry. You can go on, Stephen.
Okay, so you got nothing from the beginning. Okay. All right, so you're looking at the objectives. No risks, make a plan, make emergency exit. First thing you need to do is find out the risks in your area. Typical risks are earthquake, tsunami, typhoon. I'd like to reiterate, be careful on a typhoon. You get a lot of jerks with umbrellas, and the wind will change on a dime, and the umbrellas will go flying out of people's hands, and they hit other folks. So,
Stephen,
floods.
we were at the management area, so you can go ahead and go back to that area. We were talking about the last screen that you were on before you dropped off.
I'm not sure. Make a plan? I don't know where I was.
Move forward. Move forward. 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 Forward.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. So if you are meeting up with friends in your hometown, designate a meeting spot. And if you're going to say the school, don't make it general like the school. Make it very specific, like the exit to the school or the dugout on the football. On the baseball field. For meeting spots, do not pick really popular meeting spots like Hachiko or Mamenoki. Everyone will try to meet other people there, and you'll never find each other. Have a contact person. You can register at your Koban. The police officer will just take your name and your address, and they'll check on you in the event of an emergency. Register with the embassy when you get to Japan. I don't know if you're bringing pets. If you are, there are stickers you can get that will tell people to save your pets if you're not at home. During an emergency situation, you're going to have to get your information from somewhere, and it really depends on your own communication ability. There's radio, there's internet, there are loudspeakers, TV, and cell phone. If you dial the number 171, you will get information on a smartphone or a cellular phone. But again, you have to have cell phone service. You're most likely going to get information from human sources, from friends or neighbors.
Barafuki, I believe that the information is also offered in English. Stephen, could you confirm that, please?
I cannot confirm that. I do. I know about the number, but I have never used it, and I have heard conflicting reports that it is available in English.
I believe that probably if you are maybe using the English option on your cell phone, it might be available. I will look into that, and I will get back to you.
Right. So evacuation centers are pretty much all of your school gymnasiums. Ask your supervisor where the closest evacuation center for your apartment or your house is. You will be able to find them because they'll have these green stickers that say emergency shelter. They'll have phone numbers, and everyone kind of sets up in the gymnasium. You will see a lot of signs for emergency services. Come here for shelter. The one in the middle is obviously typhoon or tsunami shelter. And you'll also find stickers on a lot of convenience stores. These convenience stores will assist people when walking home, that you can use the bathroom for free. They will give you water. So you look for these stickers, and the stickers will be a little bit different depending upon what prefecture you're in. But these are all the sort of stickers you'll find at convenience stores. So plan for 3 days, emergency kit. You can buy these, or you can go ahead and make your own. But you want 3 days minimum and up to 2 weeks if you think you're going to be stuck at home. During the earthquake I was in 2004, the convenience store shelves pretty much looked like the one in this picture, only a few hours after the earthquake. If you are in a remote area, you want to make sure you have at least 2 weeks of food. The folks in Yamakoshi Village ran out of a lot of things, and they were up there in their village for, 2 to 3 weeks before they were airlifted out by the self-defense forces. So, in your emergency kit, you're going to want to have 1 gallon per person per day of water, non-perishable, easy to create food, a flashlight, maybe even some batteries, some candles, battery-powered or hand-crank radio, first aid kit, medications and medical items, multi-purpose tool that is kind of like the Swiss Army knife, but you can also get them where they actually have things like screwdrivers and wrenches. Sanitation and personal hygiene items, copies of personal documents, cell phone with chargers, emergency contact information, extra cash, a blanket, and maps. Make sure you also take care of your individual needs. If you have a problem hearing, make sure you have hearing aids. If you wear contacts, you're going to want to have stuff for your contact lenses, so forth. Baby supplies, I don't think it applies to anybody going over here this year, but there are some folks who go on the JET program with family, and you need to take care of your family and come up with a family plan for emergencies. Games and activities for children is also important. I remember I ended up giving away about 4 different sets of Uno cards for children who were staying in the emergency evacuation center at my high school. If you have a pet, make sure you have pet supplies and possibly an extra set of keys for all of your needs. Odds and ends, these are things you don't absolutely need but might help. Matches, rain gear, gloves, tools, extra clothing. This presentation will be made available on the website, so you can go ahead and look at it there. And I think that is it. So I just went through that as quickly as I could. Let me just open this up for questions now. Anyone? Hello?
Still here, trying to think of something.
All right, I'm trying to figure out how to work this. Oh, I have chat now. Yay.
Yeah, you did have chat. Oh, I copied a long link, but let me see if I could get the short link for it. But this is the system that Stephen was talking about. It's available through NTT, and that's the national telecommunications carrier in Japan. And there are instructions in English. So, Stephen, we can also see you on your video now, by the way. And one cool thing about the 171 system is that you can record a message that can be played back when someone calls your number. And that could be really useful in case your parents are calling you, your cell phone number, and the cell phone systems are down, but there is an automatic playback recording that you can do once you're in a safe area that people who contact you will be able to know that you're okay. And as I recall, that was, really a big issue in the 2011. Was it 2011? I think it was the tsunami. Coincidentally, that was the year after I came back from Japan. And I think I even had a couple of relatives that were like, is Yuli still in Japan? Is she okay? So...
it's 2011.
Yeah. So it's definitely, it's a good idea to have that number handy in case you need it. Stephen, Barfubuki asks, how many disasters can we expect per year?
It depends. I was there for 8.5 years. I experienced maybe 4 earthquakes. Only one of them was bad. And because I was literally in the epicenter of it. So I don't think expecting a disaster, I don't think you should expect for one. Just be ready for one. And depending upon where you are, you're going to have an earthquake. You're going to feel it. And I got to be honest, the first earthquake I ever experienced, a Japanese friend said, hey, that was an earthquake. And my first response was, I'm disappointed. I wanted to feel more of it, but it didn't happen. The big earthquake I mentioned earlier, my first thought was, this is amazing. I can't walk straight, and I haven't had anything to drink. And then I saw all the people around me panicking, and I kind of, got a little bit more serious. So disasters, there was one flood, and I've got to be honest, the flood was a disaster only because of the way that the city took care of the decision-making process on when to sound the klaxons. There was heavy rain, there were flash flood warnings. So just, if you hear flash flood warnings, just make sure you take your computer upstairs. But make sure your TV is up off the floor. Just basic stuff. But as far as how many disasters, hopefully you're in an area where the answer is 0. But just please make sure you plan for them in case they happen.
I think Stephen's advice is particularly helpful about planning for disasters that might occur near your area where you live. So if you live on the coast, then definitely prepare for a tsunami.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If you live in Tokyo, prepare for a kaiju attack. All right. Well, we are about to be kicked off.
Well, there's actually probably still 5 minutes, but
actually, you were telling a story about like getting used to turning on and off the gas before you left your home whenever the call dropped the first time.
Yes.
You don't have to get into the habit of it. Just know how to do it in case you're at home and there's an earthquake. And in that situation, you will want to turn off the gas until you're told that it's safe to use the gas. Now, there are some old houses in Japan where you literally do have to turn off and on the gas before using it. And if you live in one of those, I'm sorry.
Don't quote me on this, but in my house, it was so you have a spout and then you have the line, I guess, where the tube connects, right? And for at least in my house, it was if everything was parallel, that was on. If it was perpendicular, then it was off. And in my scenario, I guess I'm kind of paranoid because I'm the kind of person that loses their wallet, their keys, you name it. I probably lost it. And for me, it's just a good idea to develop, good habits.
Right.
Plus, I think there's also like these little gas leaks that happen, that gas is kind of like, slowly leaking if you don't turn it off. And it's also good to save money, right? Kind of like turning off your lights when you leave the house. So that's what I do. I'm probably on the paranoid side, but I think for me it was better to be safe than sorry.
No, that's definitely fair. I'll probably get into that habit too.
But yeah, I think it's kind of hard to say honestly when a disaster will happen. During my time on JET, we kind of always joked about Mount Fuji erupting, and like the entire town would be covered in ashes because I live near Mount Fuji. And the next year after I left, there was Fukushima. So it was like, well, we joke about this, but when it happens, it's a really serious situation.
Right.
Oh yeah, They always talk about Mount Fuji erupting, like, because it is an active volcano. And so every year it's like, yeah, is this the year Mount Fuji is gonna erupt? We don't know, but that's pretty much what every jet talks about in my prefecture, at least when they arrive.
Okay, I'm just reading up on the 171. And it is not what I thought. It is not for you to receive messages. It is for you to leave messages. You would essentially give your name, your address, and you say, "I'm fine," and it records that, and it takes care of it. So there's like a database where it's data collection on whether or not you're safe.
Only in case of having an internet, though, right?
Right, but it's only. It is only activated on a serious earthquake.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't depend on the internet at all. So as long as you have a phone, then it's good.
And it's got to, and it will not be so it's got to be a lower scale of 6 or higher on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7.
One tip I will add is that in lieu of bottled water, there's I know that in a lot of developing countries, if people travel there, there's this like very lightweight water filter that they bring in case they can't access fresh water. And that's a good alternative to consider if you don't want to have lots and lots of bottled water, is if you have one of those like lightweight water filters, then you pass water through it, then apparently it works really well.
All right. I think we have time for maybe one more question. Anyone? Rachel?
Bearfuki has a question on chat, Stephen.
Yes. They don't use the Richter scale. They use the Japanese scale, which is based on the amount of probable damage. All right. You're welcome.
Yeah, if anyone wants to stay tuned for the Stay Online or join the next meeting, which is going to be self-intro ideas and games, Valerie will be presenting that, and she's got a lot of really good ideas.
All right.
Oh, is that happening immediately after?
At 8:10, yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I'll be back in a little bit.
Bye.
Bye all.
Bye, everyone.